All right, everyone. The state of California now recognizes a mysterious third gender called non-binary, which means, I guess, you don't feel fully male or female. And for state purposes, you can now choose non-binary. So, like on your driver's license, you can be gender non-conforming. I would think this would be a little bit of a problem with policing things. Not exactly sure, but yeah, I think it would. Are you going to have, like, diversity patrols for your police so that when they're calling in a suspect, they're like not using the wrong pronouns or something, like they gotta use Z or Zer? All kidding aside though, California's got problems, but on this issue, it could be worse. I'll tell you why. Number one, I don't believe this applies to private entities. Like, it's not like New York where they fine people for using the wrong pronouns now, like New York City, which is totally, by the way, it's totally moronic. People should sue the fucking city as quickly as possible, get that off the books, because clearly unconstitutional. Number two, as far as gender goes, we have to keep something in mind. There's hypocrisy to go around on all sides, number one, and number two, we need to take a step back from the moralizing and simply look at reality for what it really is. The reality, for instance, is that biologically speaking, as far as chromosomes go, there are two genders. You are either male or female. Even people with a genetic abnormality fundamentally fit into one of these two groups. Turner syndrome, you're still female. You don't have a Y chromosome. Ultimately, it boils down to the presence or absence of a functional Y chromosome more than anything else. Sorry, the third waivers, but that's also biological reality. However, there are plenty of gender expressions. Gender expression is limitless. You can express your gender however you want. Now, a lot of people are like, well, gender doesn't even exist. Well, then why do you even talk about gender expression? How are you supposed to fit into a category that you can't express something? It's not real. You're talking about fantasy. The reality is this. A lot of people think, well, sex is penis or vagina, but gender is limitless and expression secondary to that. That's not the way that it actually works. The reality is biologically it's first and foremost gender, male or female. Usually subjugated to that, not always, but usually sex, the presence or absence of certain genitals. You can have genetic disorders, you can be a hermaphrodite, you can have physical abnormalities and malformations that screw with this. But it's subjugated entirely to the chromosomal structure. Generally speaking, if you have two X chromosomes, you're going to have a functional vagina. Generally speaking, if you have an X chromosome and a Y chromosome, you're going to have a functional penis and testicles. It's just the way that it works. It's the way that the world operates. Sorry, people who think that it's Tumblr mode, but that's the truth. It is the scientific reality. But secondary to all that are gender expressions that have apparently very little to do with actually those things. Most people, of course, mainly for social reasons, I would agree with the left on this, dress a certain way, act a certain way, have certain roles because of the cultural side of how those are normally expressed in a behavioral fashion. And I don't really care if people transgress that. If somebody's male and wearing like a skirt and makeup, it doesn't affect me. It's not going to bother me. It's also not shocking. People have been doing that for a long time. You look back at half the good musical acts from the 1970s, the 1980s, and tell me that they weren't gender bending on stage. It doesn't really matter. Most people pretending to be inordinately offended by this stuff ultimately don't fucking care. Like the mud degeneracy crowd, a lot of these people don't really care. They're keeping up appearances, whether it's online or in real life. It's sort of like a group of dudes sitting around like, well, I sure do hate them gay people. Yeah, I'm more homophobic than you, though. Trying to like out-homophobe one another, and really none of them truly care. It's just sort of a dick-wagging contest or something. Only a dick-wagging contest, I guess, meant to show, no, I only have sex with women, or something like that. And it's a little weird. It's a behavioral projection. It's a facet of some people's sort of friendship circle. And who cares? By the way, if that's not even bigotry. That's sort of an innate weird human behavior. It's sort of like a colony of bees dancing around or something. You can't really blame people for that. On the other hand, though, I do find it very funny, very slightly hypocritical, when people on the left, generally speaking, who would say, well, this is a good thing, they're using non-binary, at the same time they'll say that gender expression is, like, irrelevant. And there's no way to express gender. So if you're transitioning, like if you're a male to female transgender and you start like wearing makeup and a skirt and stuff, you're saying that that associates with the female. Well, I thought that, generally speaking, this was the same crowd of people, often, not always, but often, who at the same time said, well, there's no such thing as like a proper way to express female or male. Well, then just dress the way that you usually do. It doesn't matter, does it? And then some people on the more moralistic side of the right, they get it wrong too. They act like the fact that there are gay people that aren't being abused constantly is in turn somehow an abuse of them. This was the big problem with the right's argument on gay marriage. Their fundamental central premise ultimately was somehow it is abusing us, mistreating us for gay people to be treated equally. No, it's not. It's really not. It's not abusing you. If you don't like the gay person in the workplace, find a different job, I suppose. That's essentially your option. The fact that they're gay is not abusing you. Now, if they were to turn around and start sexually harassing you in a gay way, yeah, that would certainly be improper, and it would be subjugated to the fact that they're romantically interested in you. You know, you're male. They're doing that. If they were, straight, they probably wouldn't be doing that. They might, just punch you drunkenly or something, like a normal man or something. That's the way that it works. The mere status itself is not abuse. I use this very simple litmus test. When I'm looking at something like this, I ask first, does it affect me personally and negatively? The answer for people who are like, oh, well, I want to be called non-binary is no. The answer is no, it doesn't affect me adversely. The fact that they feel that they don't have a gender, while not biologically reasonable to me, does not affect me in a negative way. I look at society. Is society directly... And I'm not talking about the secondary effects. I'm not talking about like, oh, well, we have to start using non-binary on government forms. We have to start building trans-disabled wheelchair ramps. The crazy social justice secondary shit like that. All of it is adverse to society. I oppose every aspect of it. We should do away with it all. We should get rid of it entirely. But the mere presence of a person who feels non-binary, acting non-binary in the public square, does that itself, irrespective of any state stuff going on, does that affect society negatively? No. The same is true of gay rights. The fact that there are gay peoples around doesn't bother me. It doesn't impact me in any meaningful way. Certainly not a negative way. I'm like, who cares? It just doesn't matter. It doesn't impact society in a negative way, except secondary effects from that. Usually it's the result of opportunistic politicians and people who are like money-grubbing so-called social activists that are trying to browbeat and abuse other people. Like a Sarkeesian or a Dunham. These individuals are like parasites on society, and they do a great deal of social damage to our society. But they themselves are often not even part of the groups they're talking about. That's the other key point. It's like Al Sharpton. Al Sharpton is a shill, basically. But he's not like the people he claims to represent beyond, oh, yeah, I have melanin in my skin. Who fucking cares? You're also a multimillionaire. Most of the people you're claiming to speak for are dirt poor. It'd be like a David Duke. Most of the white people he proclaims to speak for, they're on a totally different socioeconomic rung than him. Most of them aren't in the same state he's in. A lot of them in the world aren't the same nationality as him. Who fucking died and made you king to talk about the rights of the white working class man or something like that? Who fucking cares what David Duke has to say? These people are truly like the worst people in society. Unfortunately, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. They talk loud and proud and they try to browbeat others. And so a lot of people pay attention to them like they're actually going to do something meaningful. They're not, by the way. Yeah, that's the secret. 20, 30 years from now, nothing that they've said or done is going to have changed society in the way that they're claiming that it'll change it. It doesn't matter how much you donate to them, how many times you press share on their posts on Facebook. It's not going to do anything. Because they're morons, really. It's money grubbing after you. They want your wallet. They don't care about you and your rights. They want your wallet. They want your money. So expect a whole new crop of people, social justice warriors and like the evangelocon side, to crop up to say, well, we need to stop these transgendered folks before they destroy America. Or to say, oh, we must, bend over backwards for every minutia aspect of every Tumblr gender to be totally inclusive. And these two sides will do what they've always done before, which is like rip one another a new asshole, and money grub, and opportunists will spring up, and it'll be a whole cultural debate where it doesn't have to be, and it'll be dumb. It'll be totally nuts. Yeah, you can look forward to that over the next 10, 15 years. Now that California has institutionalized this, it gives a reason for opportunists to take advantage of the legal system to claim that extensions from simply being non-binary, somehow people are being abused on one side or another and they need to sue. And they're going to make a lot of money doing this. It's the whole point. And the lawyer class will stand on board with them. Oh, well, you know, we're the ones who are going to be doing the legal representing. And the accountants, the ones who will be filing all those big winnings. And the judges that are going to get to hear those really, really easy cases where they just get to basically fucking sit back and listen to a bunch of morons whine at them for months and months at a time, pretend that it's a big, important social issue. Wow, this is coming before my court. How exciting. Way better than those traffic stop violation ticket bullshit things that I have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. Yeah, they'll love it. And the politicians will love it. They'll use it as a wedge issue to get elected. We've got a brand new wedge issue. It's just been born. Wonderful. Thanks, California. It's not really necessary, though. All you've got to do is insert this in your state constitution. Don't fucking discriminate against people, you know, based on bullshit that doesn't matter. Why don't you go down the pro-liberty route and say, oh, there's no victim, there's no crime. Problem solved. No wedge issue. No social activists, so-called. No money-grubbing opportunists. No Sharptons. No Dukes. No Sarkeesians. Wouldn't it be a lovely world? Wouldn't it be a much better country? But, yeah, I mean, they won't do that because California is the most legalistic place in the fucking world. That's about all. Peace out.